Alright, yo, what is up, Knights? Aegis Rick here, introducing to you guys a new series on the channel I am dubbing DFO Crash. And for those of you guys who have stuck around on the channel for a while, you may already know what this series is all about. We had one for 85 cap where I called it DFO Rush, 90 cap we called it DFO Blitz, 95 cap it was DFO Charge, and finally for 100 cap, of course, we're calling it DFO Crash. And as you might already suspect, as was the case with those other series, it really is just an excuse to show off mainly the character that I'm going to be playing, their gear situation, because obviously I do like some characters more than others, so I'm going to be trying to showcase as many characters as I can, and then obviously some of the level cap relevant content where we'll be showing off some of the gear. One change, however, that I want to make is that I want to add a little bit of a scripted segment where I kind of talk about the pros and cons, and I think it's kind of useful because sometimes in my videos I'm not able to cover everything as I do most of these recordings pretty much live. So enjoy this, let me know, give me some feedback whether or not you think it's useful. Alright, pros and cons for the Elven Knight, starting with what I like about the class. First and foremost, it's the chain rush, and that is her timing based mechanic that allows her to chain skills together with amplifying damage as the chain progresses. I personally think it's a lot of fun, but as you can imagine, it's not for everyone. Next is, I think she really has, out of the entire cast of the game, the most satisfying gameplay, and this kind of ties in with my previous point. Chain rush is a system that forces you to kind of earn your damage, and so I really think she's the most satisfying character in the game to play because of that. And lastly, I think she really has some decent cooldowns, and I say with the new talismans, she will generally have a skill ready for any given situation, and if she doesn't, then the cooldowns are not absurdly long where you have to wait all this time. Now, some cons about the character, okay? I'm going to bring up the chain rush again, because as I mentioned, it's not a system that I'd recommend for everyone, and if you don't like it, you're actually going to hate everything about this character. The next is that she is kind of hard to learn when you're starting out, and I think chain rush is a hard thing to simply grasp and just be good at. Now, that being said, once you do kind of get the hang of it, mastering it isn't all that difficult. And the last thing I gotta mention is her high variance of potential damage. It really depends on how good you are with your chain rush, and that can be the difference between doing full damage and no damage, and that is not the case nearly with any other characters in the game. Alrighty guys, so like I said, let me know in the description below whether or not you think that's useful. I just want to take like a few seconds to talk about that because odds are I'm probably going to forget at some point to mention one of those things, and you know, that's just how it goes when you do these kinds of things live. So anyway guys, first and foremost, I want to do the most important content of this cap. This is a backdrop to playing my Elven Knight, my favorite character of the game itself, but the most important content of this cap is definitely going to be the 2+2 system. It is so important, and even if you're fully decked out in epics like this character is, like my EK is obviously super geared out, doesn't hardly, I mean, she can definitely get some improvements in her gear, but does she need it? Not so much. And so what kind of we're seeing with this character is me kind of content with where she's at right now, and then I guess I'll just keep slowly progressing her via this system, and that's kind of a nice thing. 2+2 is always useful because of that reason. It's good when you're starting out and you don't have any epics, and it's also good when you already have full epics and you don't want to be spending any resources doing heals. It's just all around amazing. So anyway, 2+2, I'm going to be showcasing no gimmicks whatsoever, because when you get this level of geared, nothing is going to survive at all, and you're going to just kind of one-shot everything. But it did take a long time to get this to this point, and even up until recently I wasn't doing nearly as much damage. So it is satisfying to be able to finally say, okay, I got a full, very powerful set of gear, and there's still ways to go. Still a lot of improvements that can be made, but still pretty satisfied with where my EK is right now for when Sirocco Raid comes out, which as I'm making this video, Sirocco Raid is not yet out, although I suspect it will be out soon, within the next couple months or so, just because I feel like a lot of people are kind of getting to that point. And I did want to mention that, you know, you might be questioning, like, okay, Rick, why did you take so long to make this series? You usually are a lot more quick about this. And I feel like my excuse for that is I wanted to allow the content to flesh out a little bit. kind of make a distinguish my main characters a bit, because I felt like, at least with the start of this cap, they were very homogenized and in terms of their gear, and you know, I wanted to let the content, you know, let them release some content so that I can show off some varying content, as well as let my characters evolve a little bit. And I think I'll be able to showcase a lot of different characters at a lot of different points of gear, so I can show off a lot of content. That's kind of was my excuse. A better excuse might just be because I was lazy, but that is the truth. I wanted to wait a little, maybe not as long as I have. Anyway, guys, 2+2, that is a lot of people's less favorite dungeon. I didn't get to talk about it very much. Basement of Pain, it's kind of annoying. If you're a lot weaker, you'll notice that there was those lanterns that was hanging from the sky. You can destroy those or hit those after you clear the rooms, and you will get some kind of buff. Sometimes a damage buff, which is going to help you guys who are weaker, but it is a little bit of a waste of time if you're strong enough already to deal with it. So most of the time when you're already geared, you're just going to go ahead and skip it. Now, this is the more preferred dungeon to farm, the Black Shrine, because obviously it's actually less rooms than the Basement of Pain, but aside from that, it's even got faster layout. You know, you don't have to wait for it. The mobs are better, everything's better about this dungeon. So anyway, enough about these dungeons. You've probably done them a billion times yourself, so I'm not gonna really talk about them very much more. I want to talk about the EK a little bit, guys, and I mentioned it before in my last video. Why do I think EK is my favorite character, and why do I think you should play it? Okay, EK is a character that is specialized. Okay, I'm not gonna say it's for everyone. In fact, I'm gonna say it's not for everyone. I don't think it's something that I can recommend so easily to everybody if you're not the kind of person who really enjoys a little bit of a challenge with your gameplay. Because I've said it before, I think this character is the premier character in the game where you have to really earn your damage. Okay, it is very much possible that despite me being super geared like I am right now, if I just am having an off day or something, or if I'm not hitting those chain rushes, all of a sudden the variance between, you know, the tolerance between my damage is completely shot. I mean, we can say within, you know, no damage to all the damage is the range of damage you could be doing on this character if you're not playing her well. So it does take a lot of practice. It is a little bit stressful because of that reason. Like, if you're the main deeps of a party and you're just missing all your chain rush, it's going to be pretty obvious. You're like, dude, you didn't kill that guy in one hit, or what happened? Well, I dropped my chain rush and I sucked. And, you know, it can get stressful. A lot of other characters, they don't have to deal with that whatsoever. All they got to do is just press their buttons, and if they have the gear and if they actually hit with their skills, then they do all the damage. Not so with this character, and because of that reason, you gotta earn it. And it feels really good when you hit certain combos. You see right there, wasn't dropping too many chain rushes, but even then, dropped a few, and that could account for a lot of your damage. And when you hit some big combos and some big damage, you definitely feel like you have done so. You know, you kind of earned it. So that's kind of the appeal of Chain Rush, although I did mention it as a pro and a con. Okay, Chain Rush is a pro for me because obviously I do like that ability to be able to fail at something. And I also like the ability to, you know, mechanically be able to worry about that while I'm playing the character. But guys, I'm going to go ahead and take us to some of the hardest content available in DFO as of currently. In fact, they'll probably be so even after Sirocco Raid comes out. But we're going to do a little bit of my least favorite dungeon in all of 100 cap, Cursed Ruby. I'm only going to show this off one time because how this dungeon works, I'll just explain. It is a weekly dungeon system of the game, and what you're doing it for every week is you're trying to pick up 5 of these golden chests. Now you guys can see I have a ton of them. I can only select my best 5 that I've been earning, and you get a chest every single time you clear 5 floors of the Cursed Ruby. And you guys can see I'm currently on floor 47, so I'm pretty close to finishing the Cursed Ruby. Now, the reason why I dislike this dungeon and why it's my least favorite content in the game is when, you know, this obviously gets progressively harder as we get further down the line, and this difficulty spike is nothing more than a complete and utter well, I wouldn't say only, but it is one of those things that is just damage sponge city. Okay, but you got some annoying gimmicks to deal with as well. For instance, some of these monsters like put you to sleep like that, and they can just combo you and kill you. A lot of the time, honestly guys, this is just a battle of attrition. So I have found though that characters like my EK, for instance, I kind of like this content just to practice chain rush. You know, instead of going to, for instance, to the training room to practice your chain rush, you can kind of practice it here, and it's a great way. You know, it's a battle of attrition. It's just something that's going to take a long time. It doesn't matter really how strong you are. It's just going to take a long time to do this content. So, you know, you just kind of just practice your chain rush, and you can play it like this. But again, like I said, it's very boring content because of that, because there's nothing really else to it. And, you know, it gets stale really quick. What can I say? So I'm still making pretty short work of it, but you guys can see I use my first and second awakening. And able to showcase all of this character's skills, I guess. But one thing I will mention is that there is some equipment when you get up into these very high levels of floor. I'm talking basically past 40, 45. You're going to be dealing with some very, very strong enemies, and they can indeed kill you. So you're going to have to be prepared for doing this content, and it's not just a matter of, oh, let me just bring my potions. There are some other items I suggest if you're doing high levels of the tower or the cursed ruby. For instance, you guys can see on my hotkey bar, I can bring him out now, I guess. I don't know if he's going to be getting wrecked, but Soldoros is a great option. It is an APC summon, which a lot of people may not even know we have a puppet system, which we can use our animator profession to create puppets that can fight for us. In this case, we brought Soldoros with us, and he can give us his weapon master synergy effect, which is kind of cool. Another feature about this dungeon, you'll notice that some of the enemies sometimes drop Neostone, which is important only because it increases our hit rate and allows us to actually hit enemies, which the deeper that you go down this tunnel known as the Cursed Ruby, the lower your hit rate will be. And you'll notice characters like Elven Knight actually can excel at this type of content by sheer virtue of their Warcry buff providing some hit rate, which is very rare, I will say. Very rare for hit rate to be applied via buff. Only a few characters can do it. I think Monk, characters like Launcher, I think, can do it. And Elven Knight, obviously, are characters who have a hit rate buff. And other characters who don't have it kind of just get shafted. I think they have to deal with just not hitting anybody and worrying about it. You see, even with the hit rate buff, though, I just missed some of my biggest skills. So this is why I just dislike this content, guys. It's like so random based. If you miss the big skills, if you miss your awakening, like what fault of mine was it that I can't kill this guy quickly if I'm missing my damn skills? So he pulled me into the Neostone. I was trying to save it for the boss that we have coming up here, but like I said, guys, this is very boring content after a while. I mean, yes, I get to practice chain rush, but you know, doing these top floors are just a battle of attrition. Make sure you bring things like, you know, I didn't even bring all the potential items you could bring. Oh god. But you can bring things like reviving potions that can instantly revive you if you die, and that's why I wanted to save Soldoros, because he died. Oh, get me out of here. You know, you want to bring maybe Toy of the Sparkling World. If you're getting CC chained like that, you will just end up dying. So gonna try to hit with some big skills and poke, and then do a hit and run style. Again, you want to try to, you know, maintain some cooldowns here, some of your big cooldowns, and make sure you hit with them with a character like EK. You don't want to miss with skills like that, but you know, that's kind of the cool thing about EK. You know, I don't often get to do any, or I almost never get to do content where I'm using chain rush like I am right here, which is kind of like a hit and run style. You know, you still have to hit all of your chains, but you know, you don't always have to do like full chains here. You can do like a hit and run, one hit there, one skill there, and then just to maintain the chain. And this is also another way that you can kind of practice playing with chain rush like this. You know, it is a skill you have to learn to do. You're not going to be able to really practice this against, you know, while you're leveling and stuff like that, but it is something you want to try to get good at, is that you can maintain your chain rush without just having to fight one type of enemy and just hitting the same skills. You can run around a little bit. You have a little bit of time, not a whole lot, but you have a little bit of time to run around, hit a guy with a few skills, get CC'd like that. You have to, you know, even use a skill like this to kind of delay it a little bit. Get CC'd again. Keep the chain going no matter which way, or however you can, I guess, is the best way I can describe that. So fortunately, he is just not having any of that, so I'm going to try to CC him myself. which he didn't care about that. Dude, this guy's cancer as hell. I can't get more than a few hits in. Luckily, I don't lose my chain rush while I am getting CC'd there, but I'm gonna have to hit and run on most of these. Luckily, I have the natural restraint at the max level, which you can see is providing a... It's not a hard CC, but at least it keeps him in place, lets the chain rush happen a little bit easier. He's just ignoring everything. Hit him with the chain finish, and you can't because he's just gonna freaking hit you in the face, and nothing you can do. Nothing you can do if you're trying to do damage. You're just gonna get stunned by this guy, which is super annoying. But as long as I hit with the hold, I think I'm gonna be... Oh, I missed it now. We're fucked. We're fucked big time. Just don't die, and I think we'll be good. But you can see how long these fights are lasting here. Okay, finally hit him with this. And I don't have any big skills now to use. And he's back to normal. He's already good to go. And I think we got him there. Hit with this. Fortunately, my CC skill to get out of it is too low level at this point. I do usually use a skill to be able to get out of any CC, but when these enemies are this high level, I don't think it, or it is not working. So, fortunately, oh fuck. So with the chain finish, did connect it there. Got the 1A coming in here, and now it's just a little bit more. This is all just to clear one floor, guys. Yeah, the skill I'm thinking of is, yeah, the Great Will right here, which is usually used to get out of any kind of CC. Elven Knight has a nice skill that can do that. This right here can actually block against CC, so if they try to hit you with some type of CC and you have that skill available, it's just, unfortunately, the cooldown's kind of long on that, so you're not always going to have that. And come on. Come on. Got a CC there. It's some big skills. My weapon is breaking, so hopefully that doesn't become an issue. This guy's almost down. And right here, I'm in the best position I have found to hit this guy without him punishing me back, which is great. Oh. Used the grab a little bit too early. And chain finish. Nice. And you can see the hit rate buff just helping me massively there. I'm going to go ahead and move on to this next floor and get the hell out of here. I've got a couple more floors to do. I'm going to go ahead and do them on stream, though. But you kind of understand why I don't like this content, and I don't think anybody does. But most of the time, guys, you're not going to be going all the way up to floor 50, okay? If you're just trying to do the weekly, as I usually do, then most of the time I just get to floor 25 to get my 5 chests, and then kind of AFK from this content until next week, which doesn't take very much at all. You guys can see, I mean, I'm in full epic sets just trying to pass these top last floors here. You don't need nearly as much gear to make it to floor 25 though, and you won't have to be worrying about the hit rate and then, you know, annoying bosses and all the annoying mobs that have all these status effects. You can just kind of go through there pretty much brain dead easy. So aside from that, guys, I'm going to end off with a little bit more talking about the Elven Knight herself. I mean, I was able to show off a lot of how her gameplay really is. She obviously maintains that chain rush, which is kind of her gimmick. It is her entire gimmick. If I haven't been able to explain that before, it is very unique. You know, it's something no other character has to deal with. So many other characters in the game have skill cancel systems. It is not the sheer fact that she has a skill cancel system that makes her a unique character to play. It is only the fact that her skill chain system has to interject that one skill, the chain rush skill, one time before, you know, and this is an annoying room here. It has to interject it one time before she's able to use her skill cancel, which is obviously just, you know, it's not a big deal. What I like to say about this character in terms of, like, if you're interested in playing her, how hard is she to learn? I think she's an easy skill, or a hard character to learn, but an easy character to master if you give it the chance, okay? What's going to happen, and, you know, this is just like, I think, the difference between skiing and snowboarding, if you've ever done one of those things. Skiing is a skill that's relatively easy to learn, but it's hard to master. And snowboarding's the opposite. Okay, snowboarding is like, it's very hard to learn that thing. It's not intuitive at all. But once you get it, once it kind of clicks, it's very easy to master snowboarding. And so it's the same thing with this character. This character is like a snowboarding character. It's hard to learn. It's hard to kind of grasp your head around the idea of what the chain rush is and how to do it. But once you kind of understand it, it kind of comes as second nature. I mean, you don't really have to think about it. I can do a full commentary and do some of the hardest content in the game without having to think very much. And I don't think that took very long to do. I mean, I have been playing this character for years and years and years at this point, but I think I've gotten to that point way long time ago, you know. The point where I can do commentary and not have to think about the chain rush. It's something that, you know, it took maybe a couple months or something to get good at, and then that's it. You look at a character like Monk. I think Monk is a good example of a character that's easy to learn. You can kind of learn his gimmick really easily. I mean, he's just duck and sway. But, you know, you can be playing that character for a long time and not get to the level that some of these other monks have gotten to. You know, the difference between a good and a bad monk is astronomical. Whereas the difference between the good and the bad EK, I mean, you can only get so good, I think, with the EK. That being said, I think there are better EKs out there, but you kind of get the idea. So if you're worried about EK, I think she has a steep learning curve at the start, and then it gets a whole lot better after the fact. So got this guy right here. By the way, we are doing the Stormy Route dungeon. I don't know if I kind of mentioned that, but Stormy Route, it's a nice dungeon if you have nothing else to do, which is what this character is kind of at right now. I don't want to spend any resources doing Guide of Wisdom. I don't really want to spend any resources doing anything anymore with this character. But at least if you're in that situation, you know, I think you only got a couple options you can do. Stormy Route, great place to get Aeolite as well as time stones. Or if you want to take a gamble a little bit, I have mentioned this in my other guide video, but another place you can go to is you know, head over here to the dark side, so we can go to 2+2 in Chesttown, which is, you know, we did 2+2 at the start of this video, but Black Shrine on expert difficulty. It's the same thing as Stormy Route, except you get more Aeolite. You also get more time stones. So if you're trying to farm money, time stones is also a source of income you can use on top of the Aeolite that you can sell for gold. But you get the time guide stones, obviously, for doing Guide of Wisdom. You can also get the time stones, which are, or the time crystals, excuse me, which are obviously more valuable, and they can be sold in the auction hall, and not a bad idea. I'm not going to say which one is better than the other. Somebody's probably done the math on that if you're trying to grind for money, but it is something you can do if you're on a high-level character, I guess. And you probably already know that because there's not much else you can do. But anyway, guys, there's a time crystal right there. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. There was a little bit of Elven Knight action. Hopefully I was able to showcase, you know, what this character is about, why I like it. And you know, it's don't be intimidated by it. Yes, there are some, you know, people who just think that chain rush is not possible, or you can't do it in this type of content. They're completely bullshit. They don't know what they're talking about. EK can be done in any content. It is harder and it is more stressful than other characters. That's, I mean, nobody's going to deny that. But it's not possible, or it doesn't work. Yeah, that's also completely and utterly false. I can do anything in this game just as good as the rest of them. So, I mean, that's just the sheer fact of it. Proof is in the pudding for any EK mains out there. They'll tell you that. They got no problem. Get good if you're having problems with EK, which is kind of also the appeal. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. There was my first episode of DFO Charge. In the next video, we got to showcase my second main. Obviously, the one that looks just like this character, but plays completely different, the Paladin. Until then, I'll catch you knights later.